Hi guys, this is Miss Raina, your handy dandy environmental systems teacher, coming to you today to talk about non-renewable resources. So hopefully you have this definition in your vocabulary already. And we have a couple of terms that we want to distinguish here. So conservation is all about using less, trying to be part of the solution. For example, maybe reusing some things here and there. There are issues with every one of these efforts that we make, and so it's real important for us to understand the costs as well as the benefits. So in the case of conservation, one of the potential problems might be that it actually requires a behavior change. Restoration is doing things like recycling. So rather than taking more resources out of the environment, using the resources that we already have. Again, it involves a behavior change, but the more kind of drastic problem is that oftentimes a recycled resource can be more expensive than using the raw material. Additionally, we don't have the technology to recycle everything. Sustainability is not a question of is something sustainable or not. Sustainability is a matter of how long a certain resource will last. And so people will talk about the sustainability of a forest, and they'll talk about the sustainability of a certain type of resource like coal or oil. They're only predictions, that's only speculation. It might not be accurate, so that's maybe one of the issues. We're going to be looking at the effects of using mineral resources, and so we kind of have a process that happens here. Usually we've got mining. Sometimes we have metal ore coming out of there. Usually whatever the product is that we've extracted from the environment, there's some kind of refining of the product, and that takes energy. In this case, melting the metal takes lots and lots and lots of heat. Using that raw material and converting it to a product that we buy, again, takes lots of energy. Discarding the product, moving it around, again, takes more energy. So we can save a little bit of resources if we recycle it back into this point in the cycle, but it's not always the case that's what we do. All right. So there's just, some things to think about here as far as that process goes. Wherever you see things like exploration, we definitely have some environmental effects at every stage in this process. So this is just something to be aware of, not necessarily something that we're going to memorize. Here's some more general cases, okay? So in terms of harvesting non-renewable resources, it's definitely important to understand the costs. So, for example, if you own a piece of land and you want to take the resources out, these are the costs that you're going to have to face. Owning the land in the first place, owning the equipment in the first place, you have the responsibility to reclaim that land, to control pollution, to monitor the air, to monitor the water. Anything that has to do with processing the resource itself, transportation of all of those things, and maybe what we call marginal costs, figuring out where to drill in the first place, finding new sources for the resource, new markets to sell it in. It does all cost money. There's definitely a lot of benefit if you do this right. So if you own a piece of land where there's gold, obviously you're going to make some kind of profit, provided that you can minimize your cost as much as possible. Indirectly, once you've extracted all the resource out of that land, if you reclaim the land, you can sell it at a profit, and we'll look at some ways that that's done too. As far as using mineral resources, we're going to look at a lot of ways that minerals are removed from the earth. And so here are a couple of different ways that we differentiate. We've got surface and subsurface mining, and it's pretty much exactly what it looks like. Subsurface is deeper, surface is where the shallow deposits are removed. All right, so here's a little bit of detail on surface mining. It's less than 200 feet. You are going to be expected to be able to distinguish between these two main categories. Topsoil is removed. At the end, all of those things have to be put back. It's considered cheap, it's considered easy, it's efficient, it's definitely safer for the workers involved. Underground mining, definitely not as safe. Machinery has to go underground, people have to go underground. It can get more expensive, more time consuming, it can get to be more dangerous. But the impact environmentally at the surface is not nearly as drastic. Reclamation involves returning what we call the overburden, the layer of rocks that's been removed, back to a surface, fertilizing it, planting it. You saw in a couple of videos what passes for reclamation here in the United States. The idea is that it restores the land to its original condition. It's not always feasible. You know, a lot of times there's a lot of cost involved. So we're going to look at a couple of different resources and their uses. Obviously, coal is used to generate heat. The heat can be used to make steel, to make electricity, but a cost involved is that the emissions contribute to the greenhouse effect. We'll look at the 4 types of coal in more detail later. Here's a certain type of mining called open pit, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Machines dig big giant holes and they remove the resource that they want to remove. In every one of these cases, we'll need to analyze the costs. And so this case, rainwater accumulates here and mixes up with some of the toxins that are now being released from the mine. Area strip mining, again, is almost exactly what it sounds like. You remove big layers of rock and topsoil in strips. You use giant shovels. A big problem here is a lot of this soil that's being moved over now is really, really vulnerable to erosion. The wind blows it away, the water washes it away, and what took hundreds of years to build of soil washes away in 1 year, quick. Contour strip mining looks like this, and so you look for a coal seam, you dig out a strip, you kind of like scoop out the coal that you can, and you keep going and going and going, do it over and over and over again. Again, this exposed area of dirt is really, really vulnerable to erosion. So again, what took hundreds of years to accumulate in terms of soil is often destroyed in a year or two. Mountaintop removal, you guys saw in the video, big time explosives, big time machinery are literally used to blow off the top of a mountain to get to the coal underneath. Afterwards, the valleys get destroyed too, because where else is that rock going to go? So wherever there was maybe rivers, streams, bodies of water, a lot of times they get diverted, they get interrupted, they get the water itself gets corrupted. Also, a lot of times these are really old growth forest areas, and of course you destroy the soil, you destroy the habitat. Here are just a couple of images of these different types of mining. If people are trying to extract metal, they have to deal with what's called ore waste, and so what you extract is the mineral you want, and the waste material, you have to use lots and lots of heat to melt the metal you want so that you can get out the waste material. Using that heat means you have to burn something that's going to emit lots and lots of air pollutants. So what can we do? There's a lot of possible suggestions here, and the first and most important one is don't waste. If we can reduce waste, we can reduce demand for lots of these things that are being taken out of the environment. On top of that, you can do things like recycle, you can make political or governmental incentives for using less or for demanding less of the environment. Here are a couple of specific resources and their uses, notably limestone. That's abundant here. This is used in sidewalks to make concrete, to make, can't remember, cement. Lead is used in batteries and cars. Clay, one thing that a lot of people don't realize, is used to make books and magazine pages shiny. I know that we're going a little bit too long, but I just want you to see some of the resources that we can get here out of Texas, and some of the main resources and where they're located in the United States. All right, thanks a lot. Sorry this video is kind of long. We'll go ahead and give you until Monday to get this quiz. All right, so good luck, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.